rise, Awakenings. Let's rise together.
Laid bare shadows collide, hidden truths in the tide, a spark in the dark, it Illuminate, illuminate, through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate, the path you seek, the steps you take. Thunder rolls, whispers rise, the deck unfolds, no disguise. Light cracks the veil, it shows what's unseen now inside. What's unseen now inside. What's unknown now ignite. Illuminate, illuminate, through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate, the path you seek, the steps you take.
I have no idea what just happened there, but it didn't switch. Anyway, good morning, y'all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th. Welcome to Illuminate. If you have not been here before, what we do is we are going to do a full collective read. We're going to get a little in-depth into the cards. We're going to talk about what the cards mean in the upright and the reverse. And what resonates with you, take it, learn something from it. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave it. It wasn't meant for you. It was meant for somebody else. But there's always something in the tarot that can teach us lessons. And when we finish with that, we will move on to our homework card for the week. That's the one we will get even more in depth into and do a longer discussion about the reason why we might be receiving that card right now and why that might be the focus. So we'll get started. All right. So we have some old favorites today, but we have a pretty, it's not the happiest message. I should probably unmute me on the radio station. One of these days I'll remember to do everything on time. All right, so we're on the radio station now, so now we can start. All right, so like I said, we have some old favorites. This isn't a terrible message, but it's what we've been talking about all week. Pretty much, go figure that the cards turned out that way. It's a lot about moving on. It's time to move on. All right, so first up today in our present situation, we have the good old Eight of Coins. This is diligence, rewarded efforts, pleasurable labor, and hermitage. An owl toils away in his workshop. Let's see if I can get this. These cards really, really reflect the light. All right, so toils away in his workshop despite the beautiful day outside. It is time to put your nose to the grindstone, and is likely not the best moment to relax. Alternatively, if you have been pushing yourself, then this card praises you and promises your efforts, excuse me, will not be wasted. Try to find a meditative pleasure. You know what? If I put my glasses on, it might help me be able to see. There we go. Try to find a meditative pleasure in your labor. Effort does not have to exclude enjoyment. If reversed, if you are feeling frustrated because of mistakes or wasted effort, take a step back from the current projects you are investing your time into. When reversed, this card means you are either doing something wrong within your work, have made a mistake that will require significant resources to fix, or are misdirecting your efforts. Consider the old adage, work smart, not hard. You are actively working on something important, healing, self-mastery, boundaries, or rebuilding your sense of self. This isn't passive growth, this is deliberate effort. You're refining skills, patterns, and responses. Stay committed, but don't turn healing into punishment. You're allowed to rest while you grow. All right. In the position of challenge, we have a lady we have seen quite a bit lately. This is the Queen of Swords. This is intellect, inward focused, honesty, and maturity. A veiled queen sits beside a Saurus crane in deep contemplation. The Queen of Swords is the embodiment of intellect and truth. Her eyes are closed, indicating that her power derives from inward focus. However, an open eye hovers above her palm, symbolizing her ability to see through all the lies and illusions and basically bullshit. The Queen of Swords is mature, wise, and compassionate, but never lets emotions cloud her judgment. If the Queen appears in a reading, it may be an opportunity to use hard logic to seek out the truth. If reversed, the Queen of Swords appears. Oh my lord, deep breath. If the Queen of Swords appears reversed in a reading, it is a sign that you may be letting your emotions get the best of your reason. Be aware of cyclical arguments, knee-jerk reactions, and logical fallacies. On the flip side, when the Queen is reversed, she can become aloof to the point of being cold-hearted and detached. Clarity, boundaries, and truth are both your power and your challenge. You're seeing things clearly now, but clarity can feel cold when feelings still exist. Use discernment, not dismissal. Speak truth without silencing your heart. Good morning, Bubble Kittens. Good morning, Brendel. Good morning. I see if anybody else is in the chat that I recognize at the moment. All right. Up next, in your subconscious and the foundation, this is another card that we've seen a lot lately. The Six of Swords. This is high cash. This is recovery, transition, travel, and refuge. A lone traveler drifts toward the distant shore, leaving dark waters behind. The Six Swords represent a state of laborious transition. The shore is rocky and the fog is thick, but the waters grow calm and the horizon seems to lighten. Cutting quietly through the boat's wake, an eel seems to suggest that troubles are past, if not quite forgotten. This card can also symbolize a journey, be it physical or emotional in nature. Good grief, I cannot talk this morning. You may be planning a trip in the future or shifting your current priorities. Change is rarely easy, but let this card be a sign that there is refuge for those who look. If reversed, you may be going through a difficult transition or finding it hard to change, break ties, or move on. Deep down, however, you know that something must shift in order to achieve happiness and clarity. Try to examine what is holding you back and determine whether or not you are content with the way things are. At a deep level, you are already leaving turbulence behind. Even if your mind resists it, your nervous system is oriented towards peace. Let the transition complete. You don't have to go back, but you do have to feel your way forward. All right. In the past and the root cause, we have the Two of Cups: partnership, romance, nurture, and respect. Two birds hold each other in their nest. The Two of Cups is a card which brings to light the start of a new partnership, most often in a romantic relationship. The card invites you to value and to love the nurturing aspects of your partner and encourages you to practice those virtues within yourself. Practice respectful love and don't forget that showing that love for yourself first is the key. If reversed, the Two of Cups is often a sign of breakdown in communication or a signal that you are not honest with yourself about your feelings. Look inside and be sure of what you need. Communicate with others and don't close yourself off to healing activities. This began with genuine connection, mutuality, emotional mirroring, and the belief that this could be real. Honor what was true without letting it define what must continue. All right. In your conscious goal, we have this is a really cool looking card. We have strength. This is heart, creativity, power, and control. A warrior stands with her familiar. She this is her she's got a dragon. I don't know if you can see him, he's really cool. She bears two cities upon her shoulders and holds her heart before her chest. Strength is a card of determination and a call to compassionate fortitude. Emotion can be a weakness, but in this case, it can also be a power. Utilize the energy your heart has given you to conquer fear and control your path. Assert yourself in your relationships and at work, but remember to use emotion to steady your demeanor. Let the world witness your inner strength. Strength reversed is often a clear indication of weakness. If times are difficult and your inner strength is failing you, the root of your strife is self confidence. Perhaps you've allowed your emotions to get the better of you and you're feeling vulnerable. If you exercise control and composure, anxiety or anger need not dictate your life. You want inner mastery, not control, not dominance, but emotional courage. You're aiming to respond from grounded self respect. Real strength is gentle consistency. Let compassion lead, including towards yourself. All right. In the near future, we have good old justice: truth, objectivity, order, and balance. Lady Justice rises from the river bearing golden scales. Justice is a card that deals with law, truth, and balance. The figure in the card wears a blindfold so as to remain objective in her duties. She is reminiscent of the Egyptian goddess Maat, whose primary role was to weigh the souls of the dead against her ostrich feather, which represented truth. If the scales remained balanced, it meant that you had led a good and lawful life and would pass into the afterlife successfully. Let this card serve as a reminder that every action has an equal reaction, and that fair decisions, sorry, cat hair on my face, and that fair decisions will result in just consequences. Justice reversed can indicate that a truth or system has been corrupted by bias or dishonesty. It may also mean that you are not accepting the result of poor decisions or unethical actions and will soon face the consequences. However, it can also indicate that you need to balance your perspective in order to see more clearly. Try to look at the issue at hand from both sides and remain as objective as possible. Truth lands, balance is restored. This can look like clarity, closure, or consequences aligning with reality. Let reality speak for itself. You don't need a verdict to move forward. All right. Next up, your inner state. I think this was in this same position either last week or the week before. But we have the High Priestess: secrets, intuition, divine wisdom, and mystery. A veiled woman waits in silence, clutching a pomegranate to her chest. The High Priestess is a figure of divine wisdom, feminine mystery, and intuitive knowledge. She is often associated with the querent, for she represents all that is unknown and secret. To to artists and writers, she is the embodiment of creative potential. Her pomegranate alludes to Persephone, who traveled between the land of the living and the land of the dead. As a guardian of the unconscious, she urges you to look inwards before you act and to contemplate your dreams. Let the logical and intellectual part of your mind go quiet in order to tap into your innate intuition. The High Priestess reverse may be an indication that you need to reflect and meditate on your subconscious needs. Perhaps you are not trusting your gut and are putting too much stock in the opinions and validation of others. Furthermore, may be acting too hastily without asking the right questions first. Sometimes it is best to be passive until the answers reveal themselves. You already know. Intuition is loud. You're no longer guessing, you're actually listening. Trust what you know and act on it, even quietly. All right. Your external influences. We have the Four of Coins. This is greed, emotional detachment, shallow happiness, or generosity. A grizzled merchant sails through a blizzard to escape his own hometown with his wealth. This rabbit is not generous, friendly. This rabbit is not a generous, friendly character. He has sucked every penny out of his family, his community, and now hoards it in a miserly way that leaves him alone in the cold. This card illustrates an individual who has had success but is not wielding it in a way that is conducive to happiness. Good parents teach their children generosity from a young age, and it is an opportunity to return to those roots. Now is the time for selflessness and generosity and to value the community around you. If reversed, you are being taken advantage of. Perhaps you are not the support system perhaps you are the support system that someone is using to reach great heights. However, they will not reciprocate, but rather abandon you when they reach their goals. You are not valued, but you should be. The culprit could be someone near you or even yourself who is taking your talents for granted. Someone or something is emotionally closed off, controlling, or holding tightly to fear. This isn't flowing energy. Don't negotiate with emotional hoarding. Choose openness where it's reciprocated. All right. Number 9. In your hopes and fears, we have the Seven of Coins. This is simple pleasures, happiness, no drastic changes, and comfort. A family of raccoons is snuggled safe in their den with a wealth of coins around them. This card is all about comfort. Sometimes simple pleasures are better, for they encourage happiness to be found at home. Satisfaction will not be found through tried and true methods. If you are asking the deck whether or not you should make a change, this is a solid no on that answer. Now is not the time to flee home and to look to new horizons, but rather to enjoy what you have cultivated around and within you. If reversed, your perceived comfort may be an illusion. Furthermore, it may be holding you back as you staunchly cling to your roots. Embrace change as the status quo. Embrace change as the status quo is not as beneficial as you think. You're wondering if all this effort was worth it. Is there a return on the emotional investment? Assess progress honestly. Growth is measured by peace, not patience alone. All right. Last but not least, in the outcome, not one of my favorite cards, the Two of Swords. Stalemate, indecision, hindered emotions, and avoidance. A blindfolded Stellar's jay sits on its nest, which is balanced precariously between two rapiers. This card depicts the way in which we sometimes blind ourselves to external forces in order to avoid pain and difficult choices. It warns that indecision is not a permanent solution, but a superficial salve. When we refuse to accept hard truths or let others in, we leave ourselves vulnerable to real danger. If you feel at an impasse or stuck between two opposing forces, this card urges you to open yourself emotionally and intellectually. Depending on the context in which this card appears, if reversed, it may offer contrasting insight into your past, present, or future situation. On the one hand, you may have achieved a higher level of clarity and made a difficult decision by tearing off your blindfold. Conversely, you may feel so overwhelmed by emotions and external input that it's hard to think clearly. A decision must be made, not from confusion, but from stillness. This is a conscious pause before a clean choice. Remove the blindfold when you're ready. Indecision is still a decision. You literally asked that yesterday. All right. This reading is about transitioning from effort-based love to aligned self-trust. You started from a place of real connection and poured genuine work into it. But along the way, you sharpened your mind and boundaries. And emotionally, you've already begun leaving the choppy waters, even if your heart still checks the rearview mirror. Your soul wants strength, not the kind that clenches teeth, but the kind that breathes and stands tall without armor. Justice in the New Future says this situation resolves not through drama, but through truth aligning with consequences. Things will make sense, not emotionally at first, but logically and energetically. You are embodied as the high priestess, which is huge. This says the answers aren't coming from outside validation anymore. The external world, however, shows emotional contraction, confirming that what you're seeking isn't being freely offered. The Seven of Pentacles reveals the core question: was this worth it? And the answer is yes, because it taught discernment, patience, and self trust, but also no, in the sense that it's not meant to continue indefinitely. The Two of Swords as the outcome says the final step is choosing peace over ambiguity, not rushing, not forcing, just choosing with eyes open. This chapter isn't ending in heartbreak, it's ending in clarity. And clarity is the doorway to the kind of love that doesn't require constant work just to feel safe. That was our reading for today. I literally felt smacked in the face by that reading, but in a good way, because a lot of us, I mean, you guys who know me know why that just slapped me in the face. And there's several of you in the room that I think also slapped in the face. Plus, we've been talking about this all week long. It's time to move on. It's time to let the past be the past and let bygones be bygones and move forward. We have 3 days left until we reach Fire Horse. No, not you. Bullshit. Okay. Wait till you see now what the homework card is today. Of course, it's going to fit along with everything. You know that. I wish somebody would guess real quick. What is the card of the week? Based on that reading, what do you think the card of the week is? It is a D word though. All right, so homework. I brought out the cards I was working with today, and I brought out the Rider-Waite too, because we're going to talk about the symbolism a little bit. So, homework, it's not a queen. Nope. It is death. All right, so in this card, we're going to talk about this card a little. A skeletal vulture. This is new beginnings, chains, and transformation. Don't be scared. I know some people that don't know much about, don't know tarot think, oh God, death, what again. All right, so did we already do death as a homework card? Don't say it. I couldn't anyway. If we did, you know what? We're doing it again. Yeah, that D word. All right, so a skeletal vulture. Okay, I didn't think so. I was like, don't scare me like that. A skeletal vulture crouches between branches as new leafing vines sprout from its eyes. The death card does not necessarily symbolize a literal death of any sort, but is rather a more positive harbinger of change. Harbinger. Is that just sounds so weird. Yeah, man, we're transforming again. This card tells us that we need to let go of old habits and ways of thinking in order to allow for rewarding patterns to emerge in our lives. You resist the changes. There may be pain, but if you embrace them and trust life has something better in store, a profound experience awaits you. If reversed, the card suggests that you are afraid of change and have been resisting it all along. As a result, your life has perhaps become somewhat stagnant and uninspired. You need to let go of any unproductive attachments and trust in change to deliver you where you need to go. Archetype of this is transformation, release, initiation, and soul alchemy. This this cannot be undone. You are not who you were, and you cannot go back card. The G is like a J in harbinger. Okay. Still can't say it, so it didn't do me much good. All right. Death represents necessary endings that clear space for a new identity to emerge. This card shows up when something has outlived its soul contract. A relationship, a belief system, role attachment, coping strategy, or version of self. This is not chaos, that's the tower. This is precision. Death arrives when the psyche and the soul are ready to shed something that is no longer aligned, even if the ego is still resisting. All right, the reason I pulled out the Rider-Waite 2 was because we're going to talk a little bit about what the symbolism on the card means. All right, so the skeleton is what remains when illusion, ego, and performance fall away. The white rose stands for purity of intention, rebirth through surrender. The fallen figures that no one is exempt. Status, youth, power, or innocence. The rising sun says that something does survive this ending, and the river is emotional continuity. Wow. The river stands for emotional continuity. Life moves on. Nothing here is accidental. Death is inevitable, impartial, and clean. Psychologically, death reflects that an ego death, identity collapse, the end of trauma-based self, and completion of a developmental stage. English are hard today. I don't know what is wrong with me. I cannot talk. All right. This card often appears during midlife awakenings, post-trauma integration, recovery from codependency, exiting survival mode, and grief that leads to clarity. That speaks to just about everyone in this room. It's the moment when the psyche says, I cannot live this way anymore. From a nervous system perspective, death is a shutdown of outdated threat responses. Old hypervigilance patterns start to dissolve. Trauma bonds loosen their charge, and fight or flight strategies stop working, and dissociation is no longer needed. This card can feel terrifying because the body says, but this is how I stayed alive. Death replies, you don't need this anymore. I know you sent me that last night. Nikki Lou's been sending me stuff last night. She sent me a video that basically said everything that we just learned. All right. Integration is learning safety without the old defenses. When death is resisted or distorted, it can show up as clinging to the past long after it's dead, fear of change disguised as loyalty, or repeated cycles with the same people in the same situations, self-sabotage right before transformation, and obsessing over endings instead of just grieving them. Shadow death says, if I don't let go, I don't have to face the unknown. Light aspects of death, when embraced consciously, emotional liberation, clean breaks, not messy ones, deep self-trust, psychic clarity, renewal of life force, and a calmer, quieter strength emerge. Light death is peaceful, not dramatic. The inner child of the death card would signal the child who learned that love was conditional, unsafe, and tied to loss. Death allows that child to release outdated survival modes. The shadow child is the part of you that learned to endure instead of live. Death gives you permission to stop enduring. This is where grief heals identity. In love, death does not always mean a breakup, but it always means the relationship cannot continue in its current form. Possible manifestations are end of a karmic bond, death of codependency, release of fantasy or projection, transformation of intimacy styles, and closure with an X, either energetic or literal. If single, you're shedding an old attachment template. If partnered, the relationship must either evolve or expire. In work, career, and purpose, death appears when a role no longer matches your values. You've outgrown your identity at work. Burnout is demanding a reckoning, or a calling is quietly replacing ambition. This card favors career pivots, leaving golden handcuffs, ending hustle culture patterns, and soul aligned work over status. In home, body, and daily life, this is clearing spaces, downsizing, letting go of objects tied to old memories, ending routines that drain you, and health transformations. In other words, ending harmful habits. Your environment must match who you're becoming. The spiritually, death is an initiation card. Past life closures, soul contracts ending, ancestral patterns breaking, and karma completing its lesson. This card often appears right before an awakening, a spiritual maturity, sovereignty, and radical self-honesty. You don't chase meaning anymore, you embody it. Here's how to work with death instead of fighting it. Name what is ending and be specific. Grieve without romanticizing the past. Stop resurrecting what asks to be buried. Clear space physically and emotionally, and trust the quiet period that follows. Death asks for surrender, not effort. Are you loving the irony in this? Sorry. When death appears, I'm reading the chat and whatever. When death appears in a reading, ask yourself, what am I afraid to let go of? Who am I without this identity? And what chapter is complete, even if unfinished? This card is the universe saying you don't need to know what's next yet. You just need to stop carrying what's over. In different attachment styles, we're talking about the relationship may end or the pattern must. Death shows up when an attachment style has reached its expiration date. Not because it's bad, but because it can no longer protect you. In anxious attachment, what is dying is the belief that love must be chased. Hypervigilance to tone, timing, and silence. Equating intensity with intimacy and fear-based hope. The if I just wait, they'll choose me. But when I really need my throat chakra dealt with or something. All right. In this anxious attachment, death feels like panic, grief, bargaining, obsessive thoughts about closure, strong urge to reattach or reach out, and identity collapse. Like, who am I without this bond? But the shadow reaction is resurrecting the connection through fantasy, rewriting history to void the loss, and accepting crumbs to avoid abandonment. Once you've transformed, the nervous system learns self-soothing. Love stops being urgent. Desire replaces desperation, and you stop confusing attachment wounds for chemistry. What is born here is secure self-connection. You realize I can survive loss and still be lovable. In an avoidant attachment with death, what is dying is emotional distancing as safety, intellectualizing feelings instead of feeling them. Independence is armor, and the belief that needs equal with weakness. In this attachment style, it feels like numbness or delayed grief, relief followed by emptiness, sudden clarity long after the ending, and existential loneliness once the walls fall. The reaction is ghosting the grief, moving on too fast, minimizing the importance of the bond, and romanticizing freedom while feeling hollow. Once transformed, emotional capacity expands. Vulnerability stops feeling dangerous. Desire for real intimacy emerges, and feelings are allowed to exist without control. What is born from this is emotional availability. You realize that connection doesn't erase you, it deepens you. In a disorganized, fearful, avoidant, what is dying? Push-pull dynamics, trauma bonding, confusing chaos with love, self-abandonment disguised as loyalty. It feels like intense grief mixed with relief, identity fragmentation, fear of closeness and abandonment, and nervous system dysregulation. It's cycling back to the same people, self-blame and shame spirals, romanticizing pain and staying stuck in the almost healed. Once transformed, this is trauma integration. Boundaries feel safer than closeness. Stability becomes attractive and the body learns consistency. Yeah, blame my reading. It's not you. It's my reading that's taking away your denial. What is born from this is internal safety. You realize peace is not boring, it's healing. With a secure attachment, death stands for relationship. Oh, relationships that align, roles that no longer require overgiving, and the dynamics that were based on potential instead of reality. Those led to sadness without self erasure, acceptance without avoidance, clean grief, and trust in timing. Do not stay longer than needed out of compassion or over explaining endings. The light transformation is graceful closure, open hearted release, and space for aligned love. What is born here is expanded capacity for intimacy. You realize endings don't threaten me, I trust myself. Across all styles of attachment disorders, death delivers the same lesson. You cannot heal an attachment wound while staying attached to the wound's source. Let me read that again like 3 times. You cannot heal an attachment wound while staying attached to the wound's source. This card is not punishment. It's liberation from patterns you outgrew but continue reenacting. Ask yourself these questions. What am I afraid will happen if I truly let go? Which version of me is dying with this attachment? Is this grief about the person or the pattern? What feels unfamiliar but peaceful right now? The final message of death. I am not taking love from you. I am taking the version of love that hurt you. And what comes next doesn't need to be chased. The biggest shadow is calling trauma a spiritual connection. Death exposes false twin flame narratives, addiction disguised as destiny, chemistry without capacity, and depth without durability. This isn't cynicism, it's maturity. Death initiates you to secure love consciousness. You no longer ask, do they want me? You ask, do I feel safe being here? That shift changes everything. Ask your body, not your thoughts, how the connection feels. Mourn the dream of what the trauma bond promised. What wound, and ask yourself, what wound did this bond activate? Practice calm connection, even when it feels unfamiliar. Death whispers. Love that costs you your nervous system is not love. It's memory. What comes next won't feel dramatic. It will feel real. And that is how you'll know. Gee, that wasn't speaking to any of us at all, was it? There's the connector to risers today, huh? So this week is a test. This isn't just the week that the test. This has been a testing. This has been a long test. But it's easier for me to speak from experience and have it fit in with everything that you guys are dealing with too. So let's just be honest here. You cannot chase after, cling to, or hold on to something that's not meant for you and that's not good for you. Sometimes, in one way or another, the universe, your guides, spirit itself, will jump down on a situation and pull you the fuck out of it for your own good. However it ended, whatever way, whether you're talking about a job, a relationship, a friendship, relationship with a family member, whatever it is, however it ended, if you got fired, if you got dumped, if you broke up with someone, if you walked away, whatever the situation may be, you were led there for a reason. To get you out of something that wasn't meant for you and it was hurting you. That's why death says, you can't stay here anymore. We are getting you out of here so that you can heal and you can get better and you can actually find something that is aligned with you, that you deserve. Stop pouring yourself into people, places, and things that don't deserve all that love and attention and affection that you're giving away. For now, pour that love and attention and affection into yourself. Heal past the things that happened to you, because of you, through you, or however it may be. However the situation ended, whatever happens to be ending for you, it's ending and it's dying for a reason. And the reason is for your better good. And that's what the death card is trying to say. Let go. I know, stop going back to old situations. Stop living in a fantasy that didn't actually exist. Let go and move on to those calmer waters on that Six of Swords card. It's time. We say that a lot. It's time. All right, so that is about all I have for today, except for if anyone wants to do their shadow work today or would like a soul meditation, one or the other, holler at me. I'm going to get a soul truth for today. And while I get that, if you guys want a soul truth or you want some shadow work for bubble kittens. All right. Just sometimes I don't want to down anything. Just sometimes it feels like and what part of you is that's talking to you, that's saying that? Let's, Cash, maybe we're gonna post shadow work card for you, Cash, and see if maybe it answers that question. All right, this is for the end of the show. I'll hold on to that one. All right, shadow deck. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. This thing is so big. These cards are like there's no way to yeah. So I just shuffle them and then we're just gonna pull one out. All right, so shadow work, bubble kittens was first. Yeah. All right, shadow kittens. Displacement is a defense mechanism in which you place feelings onto a less threatening object for temporary relief. Instead of yelling at your boss, for example, you yell at your dog. When have you displaced your feelings? Who was the more deserving target, and what kept you from sharing your feelings with them? All right. Micah. Everyone has at least one part of themselves that they don't like. We all have insecurities that show up every now and then. How does insecurity show up in your life? What situations or choices from your past do you think have been unconsciously driven by your insecurities? All right. And one more. Cash. Let's get one for you. Let's see what they have to say. Okay. The artist is an archetype of someone who focuses on creation and innovation through self-expression, contributing to culture over time. Have you tapped into your own creative ability to express your life's vision? What challenges have you faced? If not, what shadow beliefs might be limiting your creativity? I'm going to vocally give myself one and see what I get yelled at for today. Denial is a strategy by which the conscious mind refutes feedback or facts about a situation to protect itself, unintentionally creating shadow material. Think of a time when you received difficult feedback. What did you feel and what made you reject the feedback in the moment? What shadow material was illuminated then? Yeah, we all called out. I even called myself out. All right, so that is your shadow work for the week. Let us see what we have for. Oh, there we go. From whom can I release my judgment right now? And remember, this can include releasing judgment from yourself. Judgment closes our heart to truth and separates us from love. It binds us to our fear and holds us in shame. Of whom are you placing judgment right now? On whom are you placing judge right now? Is it someone in your life? Is it yourself? Release the shackles, drop the expectation, and be grateful for what is. Today's soul action. Look at the person you are judging as if you are looking at a small child. Oh my gosh, this is my thing. See them learning and growing, falling down and making mistakes. See their desire to be loved and accepted. Add even more grace to open your heart to this truth. When I lift judgment from myself and others, I uncover my own truth. I am loved, I am whole, I am limitless, and so are they. All right, that is all I have for today. It sounds like Risers is this afternoon, so you guys have fun finishing talking about death. And let's see, Voices on the Rise tonight. It's Polly, right? Polly Jammeress. So be there at 6 p.m. tonight on Rise Radio with Hattery for Voices on the Rise. See you guys Monday morning for the Bloom. Oh, Risers is in 10 minutes. Y'all get to work. Yeah. So the Bloom is Monday at 11. Mike and I will be back Monday night at 6 p.m. for our New Year, new Fire Horse Messengers. And then, well, Tuesday's Brindle's Vision at noon. Wednesday is Phoenix Talks at 6. My gosh, there's so much. I'm forgetting everything now. Thursday is the Core at 11. And then next Friday, be back here for another episode of Illuminate. I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you walk away with a smile. And I hope you all take care of yourselves this week and love yourselves. I love you. Have a fantastic weekend. Be good to yourselves. And I will see y'all soon.
turn the scene now inside. What's unknown now ignite. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening, hear the call. Through the shining, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken in blood. Rise awakening, now is the dawn.
Rise Awakenings. Let's rise together.